welcome back. So now we are going to jump into a very fun wildflower mini bouquet. And this one is so easy and so fun to create and makes for a really cute, like just an art piece or even as a card, a gift, whatever you will do. Very, very fun. So very simple. We're going to use a few different hues of green. So grab your first green and we are just going to draw or paint rather, stems that are coming up and out, but we're going to keep them kind of close together in the center because that's going to be the little bundle, which you can choose to tie, if you will, or keep loose because it gives the illusion of the bundle anyway. So I'll walk you through this. I'm going to pull up and out like this, and I'm going to do that a few times and just kind of vary the height because I want it to be pretty playful and loose, like so. And I don't do too many of these initial stems because I don't want it to look too clustered. But I'm going to grab a different color of green now, and I'm going to make these stems just slightly thicker, not by much, and then bring those up into this bouquet we're creating. And then some of these are going to come out a little more. And then I'm going to create one that's a little bit out and down so that it's not at the same height. And that's going to give the bouquet itself a more fullness to it. And now one last one. So I had my first green, my second green, and now I'm going to pick a more neutral color, like a brown. And this is for like little sprouts and twigs in the background. And I'm actually going to start them from above instead of below. I could put like one below, but I don't want to make this area too busy. And then I'm going to use the very tip of my brush. I'm moving my hand position so it's at a looser end, and I'm just going to kind of flick up like this, and I'll have these straighter lines, and you'll see what we do with those in a minute. Once we're done with this part, you only need, 2 or 3 colors. I'm going to pick 3, and this is going to create our little buds, which are going to be so cute. So what I'm going to do now is use the tip of my brush, and I'm just going to find the top of a stalk, and I'm going to go about an inch above, and I'm just going to start setting it down to make these little dots. And notice that the very tip is a lot more narrow than outside, and then I'm going to create a little bit of spacing and do another cluster, a little bit of spacing, and do another cluster that is thinner toward the bottom. And that is making that kind of curved shape on the outside, but it looks like a lavender stalk. And I can make these bigger if I wanted to, so I could bring it up and then out a little more like this if I wanted more fullness or more length. So that's totally up to you how you want to do that. But I'll create a few of these, and they don't have to come from any particular stem. So if I want to have another one that's kind of right next to it and offsetting it, I can do that. And it doesn't, just like we did before, we don't have to have it connect to anything specific, or we can add it later. There's not really a rule here because we're making it up as we go, but we're also just, going with the flow and seeing what it needs or what it doesn't need or what we can retract or add or whatever. So I'll probably add one, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. And then I can put another one for balance on this side. So I'll just go a little bit lower and do the same thing. So narrow toward the top. These are just little dots. And getting more narrow at the bottom, but the fullest part is in the center. And then I can concentrate the little dots or buds in certain areas and leave white space for added interest, like so. All right, so that part is done, and now I can grab another color and do another type of flower or bud and pull that in, and I'm just going to do kind of a similar mark to what we just did, but almost have them curved a little bit, and they can curve in multiple directions. But I'm just creating kind of a cone instead of doing what we just did, and they're bigger strokes. So they're not like dots, they're just a little cone. And then I'll do that next to that one, maybe a little bit smaller. So we have some variety in shape. And then over here, I'll go a little higher. So you can see it curves and then it slightly curves, creating kind of like a dome. And I'll bring this one out to curve it at the bottom just slightly so that it has that like a rounder shape. And then the next color I grab, I will do more specific, like actual petals. So I'm gonna pull a pop of blue in. So this one's gonna have more petal style. So I'm just gonna press down on my brush, pressing down at the tip here and then just pulling up right away. You could also just set it down on its side and it creates these, you know, more petally style, and it just looks a little bit more, you know, like a blossoming flower. And these marks, like I did it pretty perfect right here to show you the technique, but I actually prefer them to be a little sloppier because it just looks more organic. So I'm going to do that over here as well, and just kind of to break this up, I'll just add some marks around it, and it just makes it look a little bit more, you know, wild. And that would also be really pretty with like, you know, a pop of red or something. And then within this part here, this is where I can start putting in some leaves. So I'm going to go in with these greens and I'm just going to make these, they're going to be off of little stems and make them kind of leggy, but I'm going to make them real small too, so that they're not detracting. They're just adding to this bundle. So cute. And now I can add those little spiky guys that I was talking about. Now this could be actually spiky, or it can be more along the lines of like the edges of branches. So I'm going to actually darken this up a little bit. And then I can, you know, flick off of it. And then it's like little actual branches coming off. And that could be it. Or I could add little dots to the ends of some of these, just so it looks a little more like a bouquet with added interest. That, you know, what are those? Are they berries? Are they edge of sticks? Who knows? But they're pretty. And it just adds that little something extra. It's like that extra texture that we need to bring things to life. I'll do that over on this side. And you'll see I have like little lines coming off of the lines. Basically what I mean is I come up and then out, but then off of those, I also have additional areas that stem off on their own too. It's like branches upon branches. And that's it. And that creates your little wildflower bundle. I don't need to put a stem right there after everything filled out. I could tie this bundle if you want to. I'll walk you through an easy way to do that. So you could pick a totally different color ribbon type thing if you want, or you can choose something similar. But all I'm going to do is just loosely do a line like so. And then I can just, with my brush, a little bit of pressure, drag down, less pressure, maybe a little more toward the bottom. And that makes it look like a ribbon has some movement like that. And that is it. Really cute little bouquet.